Hello students, today we are going to learn a small demonstration of a cerebellum. The cerebellum is the largest part of hindbrain and it is separated from the pons and medulla by fourth ventricle. Main functions of the cerebellum is it maintains the posture, muscle tone, the coordination of movements and it's the activity of body. All motor activities are controlled by our cerebellum. Coming to the external feature, it has two cerebellar hemispheres and which is connected by a midline structure which is called the vermis. There are two type of vermis. It is a superior vermis and the inferior vermis. Cerebellum has two surfaces. They are the superior and inferior surfaces. The superior surface it is related with the tentorium cerebelli, which is separates the cerebellum from the cerebrum. The superior and inferior surface are separated by a horizontal fissure, which is a horizontal line which is separates the superior surface from the inferior surface. Here we can see that the horizontal fissure. The inferior surface which contain a notch inside the depth of the notch that contain the vermis. So the notch is called as the median notch or vallecula. The entire cerebellum got two notches. They are the anterior notch, which wind rounds the brainstem, that mainly the pons and medulla. So it is called as the anterior cerebellar notch. Then the posterior part has another notch, which is called as the posterior cerebellar notch. The posterior cerebellar notch that lodges the falx cerebelli. Next, we are going to learn the fissures of the cerebellum. There are three important fissures of the cerebellum. First, we can learn about the fissure of prima. Here we can see the fissure of prima, which separates the anterior and the posterior part of the cerebellar lobes. Anterior and posterior part of the cerebellar lobes. Next, the horizontal fissure, which separates the superior surface from the inferior surface. The superior surface from the inferior surface by the horizontal fissure. Then the third fissure, it is called as the posterolateral fissure, which separating the cerebellum from the flocculonodular lobe. But in this specimen, we can't identify the flocculonodular lobe because it is absent in this specimen. On the inferior aspect of the cerebellum, there we can see a small projection which is close to the brainstem. Here we can see the brainstem and the projection which is called as the cerebellar tonsil. When the intracranial pressure rises, the cerebellum pushes downwards through the foramen magnum. In that case, the first part of the cerebellum which is herniate through the foramen magnum will be the cerebellar tonsil. Then the herniated tonsil that compress the brainstem. That brainstem lodges the respiratory and the cardiac center. So it is lethal to our body. Then we are going to learn about the gray matter and white matter of the cerebellum. The inner white matter and the outer gray matter. Here we can see that the numerous folia. It looks like a branching pattern of a tree. It looks like a branching pattern of tree. So that is called as the arbor vitae. Here we can see the close look of the white matter and gray matter. It looks like a branching pattern of a tree. It is called as the arbor vitae. And peripherally we can see that numerous of minute foldings. That foldings are called as the folia. This numerous folia is that in between that numerous fissures that made up of the gray matter and white matter. It is a individual folia, we can see that. While we are taking the section, there we can see the white matter contain the cerebellar and the intercerebellar nuclei. Here we can see that one intercerebellar nuclei, it is called as the denticulate nuclei. There are three other nucleuses. They are the globus, emboliform, and vestigial. These nucleus are arranged medial to lateral. Then we are going to learn about the blood supply of cerebellum. The superior surface of the cerebellum, which is supplied by the superior cerebellar artery, which is a branch of basilar artery. Here we can see the basilar artery. Then it supplies the superior surface of the cerebellum. So we can see the superior surface of cerebellum, which is supplied by the superior cerebellar artery. Then the inferior surface, which is supplied by another artery, which is called as the inferior cerebellar artery. The inferior cerebellar arteries are two in number. They are the posterior inferior cerebellar artery, the anterior inferior cerebellar artery. The posterior inferior and anterior inferior cerebellar artery, which supplies the inferior surface of the cerebellum, and it is a branch of the cerebellar artery. So this is all about the demonstration of cerebellum. Thank you.